In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, getting ready to take you through the primetime topics in sports, not just in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. Happy Monday to everybody out there today, as we're getting a little bit of fluctuation of hot and cold, getting a mix going in, starting this week. It's cold in the morning, it's hot in the afternoon, and somehow it's the middle of February. I don't know what's going on, but like I said before, I'm not a weatherman, so I'm not going to try to predict it or guess what's going on. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today over on Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV, over on YouTube. Also for tuning in with us on Facebook, Centex Sports Network, and Twitter or X, however you call it, on there as well on Centex Sports Network. You can go on our page and be able to watch there as well. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Click that bell so you can get notified when we go live here 5 to 7 p.m. right here on Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV. Well, folks, we got plenty to talk about here today as we are coming out of the All-Star break in the NBA. We've got to talk about this new All-Star game format, the All-Star weekend. They had the rookie and sophomore games, a Rising Star. I don't know why they always got to change the names, but Rising Star Challenge on Friday. Saturday, we got the three-point contest, we got the dunk contest, and Sunday, we got some version of an NBA All-Star game, and we'll talk about all of that as well. We'll talk some college football today, as we'll talk about the top quarterbacks going into next year. Who are those top guys that we think going into next year? We got to talk about Baylor getting a good win against West Virginia this weekend. I was just in the studio talking with Wayne and talking about some of these games, and not a lot of games on that we've been used to the last couple of months, seeing every sport on all at once. But there were some really good college basketball games, and we'll talk about those as well. We'll talk a little bit of NFL and talk about some of these free agent players potentially that are on the move, whether that be trade or whether that's just in free agency. We'll also talk about the most dangerous teams going in or coming out of the All-Star break as we're into, I guess, the home stretch of the regular season for NBA basketball season. Joining me in studio, we've got the WISD Hall of Famer, Texas Tech alum, former San Diego Charger and Minnesota Viking, Mr. Wayne Walker in the building with us. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Hey there, Central Texas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said, we got plenty to talk about today. Also joining us through conversation over the phone, we've got PJ Gaither calling in with us as we get ready to talk about some of these topics. PJ, what's going on?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. Just ready to get over these topics.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll get right to it, folks. NBA All-Star Weekend was this past weekend, as the All-Star Game is a little bit of a different format going in to this. They split the teams up into three. They did a draft between Kenny, Shaq, and Chuck, which is the best sports show, I believe, probably, at least in my lifetime. I'm glad that they're getting a chance to keep it around. It's just going to be in a little bit different format, I believe, next year. But they're keeping those guys as they should. But they did an all-star draft. They drafted between the all-star players, made up three teams. The fourth team was made up of rookie and sophomore players, standouts from this year. And they played a game to 40. They had two games. They split up. Team Shaq was able to beat Team Candace, which was the Rising Stars team in the first game. In the second game, Team Kenny lost to Team Chuck. And in the final game, Team Shaq played against Team Chuck. Team Shaq came out with the victory. The OGs, I believe they were called. Shaq kind of picked all the older players. like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, all of those guys, and they played against each other. Now, the format is definitely different. I'm not a fan of the format. I'll just come out and say that, and I'll get the fellas' opinion on this. I'm not a fan of the format because I just believe it's too much going on in between. They played the 40, and then you stopped, and then you had a performance, and then another team comes out, they play the 40, then they stopped, and Too Short and E40 came out. I'm like, man, it's like 4 or 5 halftimes going on in between these games, and they played one last game, still only going to 40. So guys honestly didn't get a lot of burn in this game. I mean, you think about the first team that lost, Team Kenny, with Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell, all of those guys on it. Man, they played for like 5 minutes and they went home. You waited the whole weekend to get to be an all-star, to get out here, put on your all-star uniform, and the game was over in about 10 minutes. So I think that was a little bit strange, and obviously it's their first time trying it. Not sure if this is something they're going to try to keep around, or this is something that they want to stick around. I understand they're just trying to find something to get this all-star game a little more competitive, but I'm not sure that this is the way to do it. And I'll start with this before we move on and go to the dunk contest, the three-point contest, and all that stuff. I'll just start with the all-star game. Wayne, when you watch this new format, I mean, just what was your thoughts on watching this format and how they've tried to switch up this all-star game?
Well, man, I understand it's all about entertainment, you know, and you got a product that you want to show. But I'm a East versus West type of guy myself. Like you said, you got guys like Jalen Brunson that makes the all-star team, and then you don't even get to see him. I mean, if you're a New York fan, you want to see your guy in the game, and I think he deserved that. I know they're trying to make it competitive and put more emphasis on that, but man, it goes back to the players. I mean, you don't have to raise the salaries or the payout on the All-Star game or something, but I'm an East versus West guy. You got guys from the same team playing against each other.
Yeah.
And so I don't like it. And like you say, it's just so drawn out. It's all about entertainment, which they did put on a good show. Don't get me wrong. And then some of the games were competitive, but I'm an old school guy. I like the East versus West. So hopefully they'll do something to rectify that situation to where we can get back to old school East versus West. Yeah. And the guys that really deserve it can be in an all-star game, you know, and then they can have these guys as future all-stars or whatever. They can play on Friday night.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
Saturday night. You know, so even the skill competition, the skills, I don't want to see none of that. I just want to see the all-star game. Yeah. So with me, I think there's just two really true all-star games now. That's MLB and NHL.
Yeah, honestly.
Because football is not an all-star game. Basketball is not an all-star game. So if we're going to do this and we're going to take that break in the middle of the season, I think we should do something to rectify that situation and make it more entertaining and more competitive.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. When it's East versus West, I understand they've tried it. They tried to do a draft, and they've tried multiple different things. They had the 1 year where they played to a certain number, and then it was the last person to score 24 points. I understand they're trying to switch it up, and they're trying different things. But there's nothing wrong with the East versus West, in my opinion. You're saying you want it to be more competitive? Well, put some more on the line. Put some money on the line, and I guarantee you that thing will be more competitive. I think right now guys are getting – I think the winner of this got $125,000 apiece. Man, these are NBA players. That's chump change. Some of these dudes making that in a couple quarters in the NBA. Not even a full game. They make that in a couple quarters. Start putting up a few mil for that prize for the All-Star game. You'll see some guys get a little bit more competitive. Start doing like you mentioned the MLB, and I can't remember if the NHL does it, but the MLB, the winner gets the home field advantage in the World Series. That's something for me to come out there and play for.
Right.
That can affect me if I'm a guy that's competing for a championship, a Steph Curry, a Jalen Brown, a Jason Tatum. Man, I'm home court advantage is everything. It's in a 7-game series. So put something more on the line for these guys to go out there and to be able to compete because as presently constructed, I don't know what's going on with this. I did enjoy some of the games. Like you said, they were competitive. A couple of those games were competitive, especially I think the Team Shaq versus the Rising Stars. And that was cool. I understand that was competitive. But like you said, those guys, you play on Friday night, man. You didn't earn the chance to be an all-star. Now you're playing in the main spot on Sunday night in all-star game. There are some guys that never got that chance to do it, and now they're going to get a chance to do it through the Rising Stars and not actually earning their way into it. I think that's kind of a little bit too much. PJ, when you watched the game yesterday, for however much of it you watched, what was your thoughts, man, on seeing this new format and how the All-Star game went?
So I ain't gonna lie. Originally, I kind of had to just see it bit by pieces, man. I'm really not a fan of the All-Star Weekend no more, and it kind of saddens me because I remember growing up, we look forward to this weekend. You know what I mean? The dunk contest still kind of had a little spark to it. The three-point contest was still pretty good, and then the All-Star game was always good. I really agree with y'all. I think they should just go back to the East and West. It was always better that way. I understand a few years ago they were trying to, with the whole, draft guys for your team. This is gonna be the leader of the team, and this is the coach and everything. They was trying to make it competitive and add a little more spark back into it because it's slowly been dying out. But I'm kind of with y'all. I think they should just go back to the East and West. I see how they were trying to make it entertaining, and like y'all said too, and I agree. I feel like they did kind of make it a little bit entertaining, but it's something that they gotta do. I kind of feel similar with the Pro Bowl when it comes to the All-Star Weekend. I feel like they're both right now they're in the same place right now where you got some people that's just like, man, just go ahead and just take it away. But then you got some of us that's like, well, no, don't take it away. Up the money that you paying these guys. Like, honestly, until you just said it, I didn't even realize how much money they were getting paid for the All-Star game. And to me, that's ridiculous. Like, $125,000 is nothing to these guys. These guys, you talking about guys who got a $100 million contract, $200 million contract. $125,000 for them guys is nothing. So if you have the money, then they could probably make some changes and just it might be some things that they might have to take away, and but you can always add something. They got to do something because right now, if you're looking at the ratings, I mean it's down terribly right now. So they got to figure it out. And kind of like what Wayne said, they got to rectify this situation because it's bad right now. And I'm kind of old school as well. I just want to see East versus West.
Yeah, man, it doesn't take that much. I understand you're trying to do something, and you got to make some innovation somewhere. And shout out to Adam Silver because he's definitely a guy that doesn't mind trying to make some type of innovation and try to have some different nuances about the game to bring more eyes in on it. But some stuff you just got to it's just simple. East versus West. You let the guys come out there and play. You up the ante. I understand most guys probably wouldn't want you to play for home court, but I guarantee you people will be playing harder if something like that happened. I don't know what the way is, but those are the ways you get creative. Redoing the game and making guys play for 15 minutes and then watch a too-short show for another 20 minutes and then have to come back out there and play like somebody going to pull their hamstring or something, man. It's not like Draymond Green said last night, it's not basketball. That's not basketball. Just throw the guys out there and let them get out there and play. That was the end of All-Star weekend, letting everybody see that. I think it kind of left people I don't know, some people were amused, some people were kind of confused, like myself, because I'm like, did Anthony Edwards even play? I mean, I guess he played with Kenny's team, and he was out there for like 5 minutes because they lost quick. It's like some people, Anthony Edwards is their favorite player. Tyler Hero is his first time making an All-Star game. He played for like 5 minutes on Kenny's team, and they got out of there, and we saw more of Zach Edey and Dalton Connect than we saw of Jalen Brunson and Darius Garland. Like that should never happen when guys have worked this hard to become an All-Star because you don't even know when the next time you're going to be an All-Star is if you get that chance again. There's a lot of one-and-dones on All-Stars. So throwing those guys out there and making them play for that short amount of time, I wasn't a huge fan of that. But they're trying some stuff. There were some more events going on during All-Star Weekend this past weekend. Obviously, they do the Skills Challenge, which, like Wayne just said, I never care about the Skills Challenge. I'm just going to be honest. That's just when I know the game is on. When I see that that's on, it's like, okay, All-Star Weekend started. Let me find the TV and find where I'm going to sit down and watch. But I'm not watching that at all. I'll watch the three-point contest, and I'll try to stomach through the dunk contest. So, first off, before we go to the dunk contest, what are some other events that y'all think they should either add or take away? Because I don't think anybody watches the Skills Challenge. They tried to add a couple different flares in there. I remember one time they had Steph Curry shooting against Sabrina Ionescu, and I think they used to have the different skills challenge where they would bring in somebody from the WNBA and they would bring in a retired legend and then somebody on the current team and they would do some type of skills challenge, 3-point contest. Go ahead.
Well, what's her name? The WNBA Rookie of the Year.
Caitlin Clark.
They tried to bring her in and she turned it down.
Mm-hmm.
So she would have been a part of All-Star Weekend had she not turned it down in the 3-point shooting contest. But she turned it down and said no. But all I want to see is an All-Star game. I understand it's entertainment, and you got Kevin Hart and in these tight pants coming out here in this little bitty jacket, and and I understand. I understand it's all about entertainment. So he's one of the best comedians in the world. You got all these raps groups and singers, which all that Raphael Sadiq, all that was nice, man. But you need to do that on Saturday night and then just play the game on Saturday. Go through your dunk contest, your 3-point contest, and even with the dunk contest, you don't even have NBA players. I remember dunk contest that had Dominique Wilkins and Jordan in it at the same time. Two of the best dunkers in the world. Vince Carter in the dunk contest, man. We don't get this no more, man. No. And that's what's so frustrating about the All-Star Weekend now. And it's tickets going for $2,500. This is this nosebleed, seats. So I know it's all about the money, the entertainment, and they just need to find a better way to do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way to do it. And to your point about the dunk contest, and we could talk about that some. Like you said, you were in the era of watching Dominique versus Michael Jordan. These are two not only the best dunkers, these are two of the best players in the NBA. Yeah. So, of course, they're going to be a lot of fanfare. I grew up watching Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, and Jason Richardson go against each other. Yeah. Those are all-stars and borderline all-stars in the game. Matt McClung has been in the G League. Now, I will shout out Matt McClung because I think at this point in the dunk contest, it's tough on a lot of guys because so many dunks have already been done, and you don't want to keep repeating somebody's dunk. Yeah. So I applaud him for his creativity.
Oh, man.
But man, hey, can we stop getting G League guys in the dunk contest?
Exactly.
Like, did everyone say no? Until everyone comes out and publicly says no, then we should not have a bunch of G League guys in the dunk contest.
Well, I want to see someone like Anthony Edwards in the dunk
That's what
contest.
I'm saying. Until these guys publicly come out and say no, because I know they probably asked some guys and they might say no. Until they publicly come out and say I'm not being in the dunk contest, then we need to ask every single star in the NBA to be in the dunk contest.
In-game dunkers. I want to see the guys that do the in-game dunkers get in the dunk contest.
Yeah. Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't watch that dunk contest? Yeah. Everybody would be tuning in watching that.
It's ridiculous.
Go ahead,
that
PJ.
We haven't had those three in the dunk contest yet.
Yeah, because now it's almost a thing of like you look down upon for getting in the dunk contest or something like. Oh, why would I want to get in the dunk contest?
Well, and I think it started with LeBron.
It did. It did start with LeBron. I always say that.
Yeah,
in 2010, I think, after Dwight and Nate Robinson had one of the craziest dunk contests I've watched, where they were just going back and forth for crazy dunks. LeBron said he was on courtside and said, "I'm entering my name in next year's dunk contest," and he never did. And the dunk contest started to die from that point on because it got worse and worse and worse every year until 2016, which I think is the best dunk contest with Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine. That was just absolutely ridiculous. But honestly, that was an anomaly. That wasn't a all-the-time thing. That was a one-off. We got a great dunk contest, but they did nothing to try to keep that momentum going of really good guys like that. The 2 years after that, we're back to watching G League guys or guys at the end of an NBA bench dunking again.
And like you say, Matt McClung, great job, man.
Oh, yeah.
His creativity on his dunks, jumping over cars.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And he hadn't done the same dunk, and he hadn't missed a dunk.
Nope.
And, I think Castle did a good job, but, man, we need these guys that's in-game dunkers to be a part of that. Like you said, man, go get my boy Williamson.
Yeah.
Jay Morant and Anthony Edwards and get these guys in there, man. I mean, then you talking about a dunk contest.
Yeah.
Then you talking about more viewers.
Man, yeah. You talking about views is down. Everybody keeps talking about views are down, views are down. Well, y'all can help the views get up. And with the NBA players, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it. these views are going to hurt you in the future. If views are down right now, in 5 years when the TV money's up, your contract's going to go down. So you should be doing everything to get the TV, to get views to keep going up. That's why you're making $350 million. That's why Luka was getting ready to get $500 million almost. He was getting ready to get $350 million in a contract because the TV money is steady going up. If the views drop, that money's going to go right back down. So y'all might want to get in the dunk contest. I seen John Morant putting out a tweet and was like, man, I'm thinking about getting in the dunk contest. Hey, man, we don't care about tweets and thinking about it anymore. Either sign up for the dunk contest next year or let's just stop talking about it. PJ, go ahead on your thoughts about the dunk contest.
Yeah, I'm almost to the point, bro. If we're not going to start seeing stars up in the dunk contest, y'all might as well just go ahead and take it away. Now, I understand it's a staple in the All-Star weekend, but, I mean, at this point, we don't get anything out of it. And we haven't been getting anything out of it for a very long time at this point, you know. So y'all not going to put the stars there. If the stars not going to step up, because they do a lot of tweeting. I've been seeing these dudes do a lot of tweeting every year. You got somebody come out and say, well, next year I'm going to put my name into it, and then y'all don't ever do it.
Nope.
So if y'all not going to step up to the plate and actually, you know, participate in the dunk contest and stop getting all on Twitter and Instagram every year after y'all see that the rating is low on the dunk contest and people complaining about it all on, you know, these social media pages, man, if y'all not going to step up to the plate, stop talking about it or just go ahead and take it away. We tired of seeing G League guys, like I said, shout out to Matt McClung because he did a great job.
Yeah.
But that's not somebody that people aren't paying their money to come to All-Star Weekend to see Matt McClung dunk in the dunk contest. They just not.
Man, I wouldn't know who Matt McClung was if he walked in Kroger's right now. I'm not going to lie. I would just take his.
I would, man, because he went to Texas Tech.
Oh, okay, my bad. We got a Texas Tech on here. My bad.
I would, but I still don't want to see him in the dunk contest.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, even the 3-point contest, you don't have Steph in it. You don't have
in
Trey.
Oakland.
You don't have Trey in it. Trey Young. Man, these some of the best shooters in the league, and they not in the 3-point contest.
Doesn't make any sense, man.
I would like to see Dalton Connect go against Steph Curry and Trey Young and these guys. So a lot of the excitement they just kind of like leave out, man.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my whole. You had Larry Bird in the 3-point competition, man. You know, these are the guys I want to see.
Exactly.
You want to see your stars in your showcases, and you want to create those viewers. And you want to gain more viewers by having these guys in there.
Yeah, you got to find a way to get more stars, and it's just that simple. And it starts with not the G League, the Rising Stars guys. They cannot play on Sunday. They should not touch the court on Sunday. That's just
earn it.
That should just be law. You can't stick these guys in there and just expect them to come out there and be able to get a win. You got to go out there. You got to go out there and earn it, man. Guys gotta earn, like I said, they got to earn their way into becoming an all-star. Putting Castle and I like to see my guy Amin Thompson out there, and I thought that was cool. But man, these guys got to go out here and they got to earn it. You can't just stick guys out there that haven't went out there and earned it. As far as what games or events they should add or take away, I think you got to take away the skills challenge, man. Nobody cares about the skills challenge. And PJ said take away the dunk contest. A couple of years ago, I was agreeing with you. I remember one year they did it was like a freestyle dunk contest or something where multiple guys come out. Yeah, you had so much time to just get as many dunk. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? But if we had to take one away, I say take away the skills challenge. And the final event on Saturday night should be a one-on-one tournament. You get you 5 to 6 guys. They just asked Kyrie about it in his talking about it. He said he would participate for sure if they did one-on-one. We see these guys all the time in the summer on YouTube and stuff playing ones with each other. Guys in practice playing ones. You mean to tell me if we get Kyrie, James Harden, KD, guys like this in a one-on-one contest, that would be the closer of the All-Star weekend as far as Saturday before the All-Star game. Put a one-on-one tournament in there. Let guys go to 5. Go ahead, PJ.
I would love to see the one-on-one challenge.
Yeah,
for sure.
Man, that would create some excitement, man.
With real stars in there, because now your pride is on the line. No matter, you can go out there and jog in the All-Star game and say, I wasn't trying. Well, it's you and another person in the ball. You ain't no not trying at that point. Either you're going to get embarrassed, especially if a guy like Kyrie gets in there, because you know he's going to embarrass you if you just go out there halfway doing it and lollygagging. you're gonna find yourself touching some turf, touching the floor. You try to go out there and playing around with Kyrie.
But you got your own. You got self pride on the line.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna let anybody just no.
So
especially on national television.
Yeah, and if that's the closer of the All-Star weekend on Saturday night, move the dunk contest up, do the 3-point contest first. Go ahead and put the dunk contest because honestly, no one cares about it like that. And then put the one-on-one tournament at the end. They've been talking about it for years. I remember Tracy McGrady tried to start up a one-on-one league. Matter of fact, he did start up a one-on-one league, but it never something that caught on. They need to implement that and put it at the end of the All-Star game, man. That'll get some eyes on it, get some people going. You get John Moran, Anthony Edwards, and all these guys in a one-on-one. Some trash talkers. You know Anthony Edwards going to talk trash. You know John Morant going to talk trash. Man, let some of these dudes go out here and play ones. Get 3 dribbles, a real one-on-one, not just infinite dribbles where you're just running around and you're shooting a 24-second shot clock. Nah, you got 3 dribbles. You got to get a shot off. One-on-one, the top guys. I think that's the way they should go ahead and close out the All-Star Weekend. But All-Star Weekend, like I said, just passed. A lot of people had mixed reviews about it, good or bad going forward. I'm going to ask both of you guys. Wayne, I'll start with you. Going forward from here, do they just switch the All-Star game back, or do they try to tweak some other stuff going into next year's All-Star game?
Well, I think they got so many negative responses that they're going to try to take it back to what it used to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the draft, but I would just love to see East versus West. I mean, the All-Stars is all about who the fans vote in and who they want to see. So at least get the fans what they want to see. Let the guys play that they pick East versus West. Like you say, put something more on the line. Maybe home court advantage in the playoffs or whatever you have to do to tweak it to make these guys more interested in playing and being more competitive.
Yeah, because it's just not the same right now. PJ, what do they tweak some more things going forward, or do they just need to switch it all back to how it always was?
I would like for them to tweak some stuff. I don't think they'll probably do it right now. Just definitely with everything all the feedback that they done got, from this past weekend, I think they're probably gonna go back as well. But I would say after next year, they're going to probably tweak some stuff. I really, really want to see that 1v1 get added and take away the skills challenge. I would really love to see that. But I think they done tweaked so much stuff already that I think that they're just going to go ahead and try to take it back and see what feedback they get from that.
Yeah, I think they should just go ahead with the one-on-one tournament, man. I really think that would be the best addition if they can do that. All-Star game has got to go back to East to West. How you incentivize them to want to do it, that's the part Adam Silver and y'all got to put your heads together and try to figure this out, man. I mean, that ain't our job. We giving you some ideas, but you got to figure out a way for this to work. Because if not, this whole viewership is down and all this stuff. This is not helping it. This is not helping your case whatsoever moving forward. So you got to find a way to get in there and tweak some things, Adam Silver. But they pay y'all plenty of money, man, so y'all got time to be able to figure it out. I'm not sure what city All-Star Weekend is in next year, but as long as it's not back in Utah again, you're going to be in a good city. You're going to get some good fans, a good crowd. So let's give the people a good show, man. Let's give the people what they want to see out there. Let's not trot the same thing back out that we just saw. All-Star Weekend wrapped up. We'll talk a little bit more NBA in hour number 2 as we'll talk about who are going to be the hottest teams coming out of All-Star Weekend. But I want to switch it up a little bit and switch to some football, even though we know football season just ended. But we got all the storylines because the offseason has just started now. And I want to talk a little bit of college football. First off, before we talk about some of these QBs going into next year, got to talk about the kind of sad news about Jonte Cook, man. Jonte Cook has found himself in the news once again. Been arrested for the second time. I think this time it was some drug charges, had some weed on him. Got arrested for possession less than 2 ounces. It's going to end up being a misdemeanor, and it's not like it's going to end up sending him and make him do jail time. It's just the fact of now you've been arrested twice in the last month. You got kicked off of Texas, who was in the semifinal game, and is probably one of the best chances of going to the finals next year. You were going to be one of the premier receivers, if not the premier receiver, going into next year. On Texas, you get kicked off of Texas. You float around for a little bit. You end up signing to Washington. another really good team, but it's like, okay, Texas is clearly up here. Washington is somewhere at the bottom of the Big Ten, but you're still going to be playing really meaningful D1 football. You go to Washington for less than 2 weeks, I think he was there 10 days, and get dismissed from the team. I don't even know how that happens. I don't know how you get dismissed from a team in 10 days, and I'm glad that we got Wayne here for this topic because he can speak to seeing this, because I'm sure he's seen some guys that just couldn't get right when he was playing in college as well. But Jonte Cook gets dismissed from Washington, and when he did that, me and PJ were on the show, and we said, man, it's never good when you just end up back at home with nothing to do, and you're 19, 20 years old with a bunch of money that he got from NIL as well. Nothing good is going to come from that. That's just based off life experience. That doesn't have anything to do with sports. He gets arrested on some misdemeanor charges. Everybody kind of gets on him, and about a week goes by, starts to blow over. Now he's getting arrested for the second time for some weed charges. Now 2 arrests in the last month, and he's still in the transfer portal because he got dismissed from Washington. Still hasn't signed to a team. This is a guy that was the #1 receiver in Texas in his class. This is a guy that I watched his whole senior year because Trey Wisner transferred to DeSoto for both of their senior year. So I was watching to keep up with Trey and to see how he was doing. And they clearly have the #1 player in Texas, so I'm going to watch that as well. Jonte Cook, man, I hope this guy can get it together, but you're only going to get so many opportunities at this. Ain't nobody going to sit around, especially when in the one season that you played, you didn't just have, amazing gaudy type stats. You had pretty good stats, but as of right now, we're still going off potential. That potential is going to run out when we can get a 5-star coming out of this next class or the class after that, or we can take a chance on a former 5-star who now really hasn't played meaningful football in a year and some change, and that keeps finding a way to get in trouble. Wayne, I'm going to start with you because, like I said, you've experienced the college football side firsthand, so you've seen the good and the bad. What do you think about Jonte Cook being in the news again?
See, that's the negative side of the NIL right there, because you go get these young 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old guys, millions of dollars, and they're able to do what they want to. But, man, one time you can kind of understand it. You say, hey, I messed up this one time, but I'm going to correct it. I'm going to get it straight. And it's all about character. They always say, don't be a character, have character. And it's just on him. And it's individualized because it's just him. Some guys, all it takes is one time for them to get in trouble. But once you a repeat offender and you do the same thing over and over and over again, man, then your credibility starts to take a hit. And I think that's what it is with him. But he'll get another chance, and he'll get another chance because that one thing that you said, the potential. Being signed as a top receiver to the University of Texas, but sometimes you run out of chances. So let's just hope that he don't run out of chances and he's able to correct this, because he has talent.
Oh, yeah.
And he clearly has talent. You go to Texas and you play, you're a 5-star recruit, and you bounce back on your feet at Washington, and then now you get kicked off of here. He'll get another chance. It probably won't be to a big program, but in today's time, everybody want to win.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to win. That's why we have this NIL portal, because they want to get accumulate the best talent for their teams, and everybody wants to win. So he'll get another opportunity, but with that other opportunity, it's going to also be this one mistake and you're out type of thing. So, man, I hope the kid gets it right, because he does have talent and he does have NFL type talent. So let's hope he gets it right, but and let's hope he don't run out of chances.
Yeah, man, I'm hoping that he's able to get this right. And like you said, I definitely believe he'll get another chance. We got somebody commenting on Facebook, said his chance might be in D3 or JUCO. I think he'll still probably get a D1 offer somewhere.
Yeah.
It just won't be at the top prestigious program like Texas. I mean, like I said, you're not going to be in a better situation with that. And we're getting ready to talk about Arch Manning in a second. Not really going to be in a better situation than that. But, man, you got to get this together, because this is the negative side, like Wayne just said, to the NIL deals. You give these dudes money, and then once you get kicked off a team, you got money and free time. That's a terrible recipe for somebody that's 19, 20 years old. I'm not just faulting him because I've been 19 to 20 years old. That's not a great recipe to have a whole bunch of money and nothing to do. So, Jonte, man, this dude's got to get it together because you were on a trajectory to be an NFL player, to be a top pick in the NFL. You were the number one receiver in Texas for some years. For at least 2 years, you were the number one receiver in Texas. Everybody knew about Jonte Cook. You could have went to any school in the nation. You chose Texas. Now you find yourself trying to get back in it, but you got to get back on the right path, and you got to stop hanging out with whoever the dudes are that you're hanging out with, because you got to get with the right crowd. If this is what you want to do, if you want to be the guy that's showing people your high school huddle film at Amazon, then you just keep doing what you're doing right now. But if you want to be in the NFL playing on Sundays, you got to find a way to get into another crowd. PJ, we talked about this multiple times, this Jonte Cook situation. What did you think when you saw him getting arrested for the second time now?
It's sad, but I really wasn't surprised. When a lot of times when these guys get in trouble the first time, their second time is going to come at some point. Definitely when you see a guy smiling in his mug shot on the first one, you know what I mean? You're going to that just shows no accountability towards yourself. Yeah. If I could tell them one thing, if teams haven't already questioned your character, they're most definitely going to be questioning it now, and that's going to play a huge part. No Premier D1 school is going to pick him up. Like no Premier D1 school, but he still can possibly go D1 for a school that's going to be desperate, looking for a receiver, anybody just looking for anything, just a spark to add on to the team, because they're just already not a really good program. And so with NIL and everything flying around, with all this money going around, some school is going to throw him some bread. It's not going to be Texas bread. It's not going to even be Washington bread, but they're going to throw some money his way. So he's going to play again. But the biggest thing is, what are you going to do with that chance? He was only on the Washington team for 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
So what are you going to do with that? This might be your second chance. It's your third chance.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your third chance? He needs somebody in his ear, somebody that's around him. I don't know what it is, but somebody around him needs to get to him right now and make him understand that this will be your last chance. Whatever school that picks him up, this will be his last chance. He's very lucky, because I'm not going to lie, back then, like the person on Facebook said in the comments, back then, he for sure would be going D2, D3, or JUCO.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot more lenient now because of NIL and all the transfer portal stuff they got going on. But go ahead.
Yeah, he's very lucky. Like, he's very, very lucky. About a good, I'll say maybe 8 years ago, he's JUCO. He's last chance too.
Yeah, not serious. That's what he would have been.
You know, so he's very lucky with the timing that he's playing in. But I just hate to see it for these guys. He's very talented. I watched that dude at DeSoto so many days, man. I mean, I used to be at some of the playoff games definitely when they played Duncanville, and they played him at the Ranger Stadium and stuff. Man, I was seeing a kid when he was like a sophomore, junior, even his senior year in high school. He's very talented. He's always kind of had certain traits that could possibly be a problem, you know what I mean, with his attitude. But the kid is very good. I just want him to get his attitude right on and off the field, and also in and out of the locker room. You know what I mean? Just so, because he's very good, bro. Like, the dude, I mean, the kid was one of the top, not just top receivers, he was one of the top players coming out of his class. He was a 5-star for a reason.
Yeah, he's top 30 player in the nation.
And he let guys like a DeAndre Moore for Texas, who they both came in the same class. And look at DeAndre Moore, his development compared to Jonte. He's allowing things off the field and just everything. He has his mind right now is not focused at all. He needs to get back focused, because the kid has a lot of talent. I think he'll be a problem. If he locks in, he'll be a problem against anybody. But I just don't want him to ruin his chances in the long run. And right now, he kind of is. He needs to really stay low-key after this and just focus on football, focus on getting on somebody's roster. If I was him, I'd be reaching out to coaches. I don't know. I'm sure he probably is. I'm hoping that he is.
You probably got an agent and stuff now.
Coaches coming to you. You need to be reaching out to coaches as well.
Yeah, he has an agent, but you know, I mean, it's just your surroundings and you know the crowd that you keep, man. And and sometimes you have to X people out that crowd that you keep, man, because if you really got boys, man, and you got really people that care about you, they'll come to you and say, hey, man, let's do something different, man.
Yeah.
I don't want you around this. I don't want you doing this. If you got positive people that want you to do well, and so maybe he needs to, just he got to cut some people out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do that.
Tough decisions have to
Yeah.
be made
Yeah.
in order for you to be able to get to that next step.
It's time to grow up.
Yeah.
It's your future.
There it is.
It's your future that's on the line. So once you start thinking about that, and then it's parent interjection. Like sometimes your dad just have to shake you up and say, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
you're gonna get it right," And sometimes it takes that.
Yeah.
But he's definitely gonna have to do some things differently this time around because, like PJ said, man, like you get in trouble one time, then they kind of expect it the next time, and now it's twice, and so that third time you really out.
Yeah.
So he'll get another opportunity, but that third time, once you do it that third time,
That's over with. You're not going to get another opportunity off of that. And in the last 3 months, you've got kicked out of 2 schools and got arrested twice.
Yeah, because you got teams that's taking risks.
Mm-hmm.
With social media the way it is now, when you come in and you're already labeled as a bad actor, man, it goes a long ways in everything that you do. So people already got their eyes on you. So you can't do anything wrong. So he can't do anything else wrong.
No, he's got to be on the straight and narrow for him from here on out if he wants to be able to play again. And with the way the transfer portal is now, this guy can go to a Mississippi State or a smaller D1 school. He can go to an Arizona, a school that's still Power 5 that might not be a top program right now, and have a good year. And he can transfer right back out and be at a national team. But he's got to make up in his mind that that's what he's going to do. If not, and you just keep thinking I'm the best and somebody's going to want me just because I'm the best, hey, bro, there's plenty of people that was the best that didn't get to that next level, especially in the NFL. And like I said, months ago, the dark side of this NIL is a lot of guys that were going to make it are not going to make it. That's just the dark side of it. Should players be getting paid? Absolutely. I'm glad that players are getting paid because the schools have been ripping these guys off for way too long. But unfortunately, this is the dark side that comes with it. A lot of guys that were going to be in the NFL, that were going to be in the NBA, we're not going to see. We talk about a guy like Mikey Williams that got in trouble in basketball a couple of years ago and started trying to be the tough guy and started shooting at a car, something random. This was the number 1 player in his class. Now he's coming off the bench at UCF, and he's barely getting any action. And it's not even because of his actions at this point. He's been out of basketball for 2 years, and there's guys in front of him that are just better. He's probably going to have to stay all 4 years, and instead of being a one and done at a UCLA or a USC or one of these top schools, he's probably going to be at UCF for 3 or 4 years just to get the chance to go to the NBA. So, man, these guys got to really lock in. They're giving you this money, but you got to use it wisely and not let it take advantage of you and trick you out of your spot. Because honestly, that's what's happening with a lot of guys right now. So shout out to Jonte Cook, man. I definitely hope he gets it together, and I'll be looking forward to seeing him get a chance on another team. Before we go into our break for the top of the hour, I got to talk about some of these quarterbacks going into next year in college football while we're talking about college football. Right now, I believe the top 3 quarterbacks, there's a lot of guys that people are trying to say, oh, who's this guy going to be? This is going to be the top guy. I believe the top 3 quarterbacks going into next year are going to be Carson Beck, Arch Manning, and Drew Aller. At least the top prospected quarterbacks going into next year. Could there be somebody better, or will there be somebody better? I'm not surprised at all, especially Carson Beck, because I'm not a huge Carson Beck fan. Drew Aller is a guy that got a lot of attention in their playoff run at Penn State, and he decided to come back. And then Arch Manning, the guy that's got all the potential in the world and is going to have all the eyeballs on him in the world pretty much. I know there's other guys out there. I'm interested to see what Julian Sayin is going to do if he gets the starting job at Ohio State as they're coming off of a national championship. I'm interested to see what direction is Alabama going to go at quarterback. Are they going to go with Ty Simpson? Or are they going to go with Austin Mack, who transferred, I believe, from Washington over to Alabama as a 4-star recruit? Or they got the 5-star recruit, the top-rated quarterback in Texas, Keelan Russell, that came out of Duncanville, is going to Alabama. Are they going to play him as a true freshman like they did with Jalen Hurts? So they got some decisions to make. But the top 3 guys I think going into next year, at least that are for everybody looking, Carson Beck, Arch Manning, and Drew Aller. Wayne, I'll start with you. Are these your top three guys? And then how do you rank those guys if those are the top three guys coming in next year?
I'm going to put K. Klubnik in there.
K. Klubnik. That's who I was forgetting. I forgot the last name. K. Klubnik for sure.
In them
oh,
top
yeah, definitely.
Three spots,
You're right.
You know,
You're right. You're right.
But Carson Beck, because he's won a national championship, and he's played major minutes on a club that for Georgia, you know, one of the top programs in the country, and he won. So I'm definitely going to put him there. Drew Aller, because of the stage that he was on this year, you know, and he didn't get the job done this year.
Yeah.
So he's going to have that extra incentive to go out and work harder and put his name in there. And I say Arch Manning is one of those guys, but he's probably about fourth because you got Carson Beck. Then you got there's so many guys. A guy at LSU.
Yeah.
And DJ Lagway.
DJ Lagway is going to be a problem in Florida.
There's going to be some guys, man. There's some guys, and definitely some guys that can play that's coming back. And, I'm interested to see. But my top quarterback coming back is
K. Klubnik is for sure. He's the top guy coming back. He's a guy that struggled early in the year for Clemson, but by week 4 or 5, man, it really wasn't too many guys playing better than K. Klubnik going all the way into the tournament. They had to play their way into the tournament because they lost so many games. But man, he was playing phenomenal. Now the defense couldn't stop anybody, and that's kind of why they lost some of those games in the ACC. But that guy was playing phenomenal, and I agree. He's definitely probably the number one guy coming back into next year. Obviously, Arch Manning has the most hype, but a guy that I put right there with Arch Manning is, like you said, man, DJ Lagway is, I don't know if people were watching Florida. There wasn't a lot of eyes on Florida last year, but the games that he played, he made an immediate impact with how he came in and affected the game. So I like DJ Lagway a lot.
And what about our guy at SMU? I mean,
as well. Coming out of Duncanville, he's going to be a problem going into next year. I think one of the more interesting stories going into next year, and PJ, I'll let you go too on this, is Marcel Reed at Texas A&M. Are they going to develop this guy? We've seen what he can do as an athlete, and A&M's going to have a lot of talent coming back again. We've seen what he can do as an athlete. Are they going to develop this guy in the offseason in his arm? Last year he was a true freshman, so I give him some grace. That's a lot to be thrown into that situation. But what can a guy like Marcel Reed do to A&M? Because if he plays at the top of his potential, we got to start looking at A&M a little bit differently.
But they need to develop him as a passer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, where he can read defensive, where he can feel comfortable. Because if you feel comfortable as a passer and you can read defenses, you can throw the ball, but he can also use his legs, and his legs are you put him in that same situation as you did a guy like, so many guys, like a Michael Vick, when he was in college. Lamar Jackson,
Anthony Richardson recently.
All those type of guys, man. And I think he's more dynamic than some of those guys.
Yeah, man, he's a dynamic runner, super fast kid, and he's got a big arm. But what can he do with the big arm? We've seen a lot of guys that's had a big arm coming in and that was athletic as well. But what can he do with it? But it's a lot of talent coming back at the QB position, and that's kind of why I phrased the question that way, because everybody's looking at Carson Beck and K. Klubnik for sure in there. Carson Beck and Arch Manning and Drew Aller, like these are just the consensus best guys, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of guys that can change people's minds coming into this year, especially with the situations that they're in. And DJ Lagway is definitely one of those guys. PJ, who are some of your top guys that you see coming in to next year at the quarterback position in college football?
Well, I got three. It's pretty much the same people that y'all just named. K. Klubnik, Drew Aller, and Carson Beck. Yeah. I won't put Arch in there, and it's not because I'm Texas all day, but I kind of agree with even what he said in his interview. To him, he hasn't really done anything to be getting all of this press. He's going to get that press just because of his last name. When you got that last name, that's just what's going to come with it. I think that he's everything that people have been saying and more, and hearing from so far with the winter workouts, he's been killing. He's already showing that he's a true leader. They've been saying that he's absolutely strong. He's very strong. So I mean, the guy, and you can, I mean, you look at him. I done seen him in person, man. Dude is 6'5",
Yeah, he's a big guy.
230 pounds.
But
He's
I echo your sentiments, PJ, with your list. I think it's a great list, and what you said about Arch, all that is that's good stuff.
I think people are underestimating how good of an athlete that Arch is to go along with him throwing the ball. I just seen Xavier Worthy talking about during the Super Bowl interviews that they were asking some of his fastest teammates. He said Arch Manning was one of my fastest teammates. People don't look at him as fast. He's like, man, this dude is fast, and that's coming from Xavier Worthy, who got the fastest 40 time in NFL history.
He got everything and more from his grandfather that his uncles didn't get. You know, so
I did not get this speed.
I think he's gonna do very well next year. But I would say too, a guy that I feel like that's kind of slept on going into next year, and not even necessarily slept on. If you know college football, then you know Lenore Sellers.
From South Carolina.
I'm excited to see how he's gonna do. I really liked him. If you go back and look at that Clemson game, he didn't really play that good for majority of that game, but when the time mattered, he was lights out at the end of that game. But you had a lot of freshman quarterbacks last year. I mean, Lenore Sellers, you've seen Arch play a little bit, even though he's a redshirt freshman.
The boy at Tennessee.
DJ Lagway. Yeah. You had a lot of guys.
Even
man,
a guy from Indiana.
Out of
coming back, which put up a lot of numbers, but he didn't show it during the college football playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're gonna have some guys next year. I don't think it's just like these guys, you know what I mean, that you can be like, oh, well, these are going to be the best QBs next year. But I would say the three that I named, I feel like all three of those guys have played more meaningful football than anybody else in college football at this point that's playing quarterback. And so it's more pressure on those three guys just because out of all the guys that we just named, those are the older guys, including Garrett Nussmeier as well, too, out of LSU.
Yeah, Nussmeier's going to be in that mix.
Yeah, those three, though, I mean, K. Klubnik, Carson Beck, Drew Aller, I mean, these guys have played at some of the highest points. You know, definitely Drew Aller and Carson Beck.
Yeah, so, they've been in that top competition multiple times before. And I get it with Carson Beck, but I watched a lot of Miami last year, and I feel like Cam Ward had to do a lot. If Carson Beck so far, as Rocky says, he's been a trailer and he hadn't been a truck since he was at Georgia. He's throwing to top receivers. They got the top running backs. He hasn't been. Yeah, that's Rocky's analogy. But I see him more as that. Cam Ward had to do a lot for that offense last year.
Yeah.
If Carson Beck can't replicate that, man, Miami's going to be fourth or fifth in the ACC because they had a lot of guys jump in that transfer portal. They had a lot of guys that are leaving, just graduate. Their top receivers leaving. Cam Ward's leaving. I think Martinez, their running back who went over like 11 to 1,200 yards, he's in the draft this year. Man, Carson Beck's going to have to do a lot for that Miami team to move forward. So he's the guy that I would take out and maybe insert a Arch Manning or maybe insert a Lagway or my guy Nico that I can't never say his last name in Tennessee. He's going to be right in there too. He had a phenomenal first half of the season.
It's all about team and the personnel that you put around. You got to have somebody that can block. You have to have receivers that can get open, dynamic receivers. The college football game is so fun and so wide open, man, and you have to have those guys around you, and you have to have guys you can throw to and people that can block for you to make it work.
Yeah, it's gonna take a full team effort because if not, we've seen other guys that are top-rated quarterbacks that don't get that love and don't get that praise because they're on a bad team, and there's not much you can do about it whenever you're on a bad team. That's why we've seen Cam Ward have to get out of Washington because. Or Washington State, because it doesn't matter how good his stats looked or anything. He was projected like a 4th or 5th round pick. This dude might be the number 1 pick in the draft because he changed sceneries and his team was better. So I'm looking forward to a lot of guys, man. And like we said, our guy from SMU as well. Can these guys come in and have a dominant season? Really looking forward to see what SMU can do going into next season because I think they can really shake some things up in the ACC. Clemson is obviously the favorite. They've got a lot of guys coming back. They got K. Klubnik, who might be the best quarterback going into next year, coming back as well. And they got Dabo Swinney, who's a veteran coach. But, I like SMU. If they can get those guys together, if they can replace some of the guys that are losing on the D-line, they can replace some production they're losing. I think Rashad Smith is going to the draft at the running back spot. If they can replace some of those guys, SMU is going to be scary moving forward. But like both of you guys said, a lot of good quarterbacks going into next year. And I'm already excited to start seeing some of these spring games and stuff. It seems like it's far down the line, but we already halfway through February. I feel like it just turned 2025, and it's already getting ready to be March. So we'll be looking up, and it will be at these spring games already. We got to take a quick break here, folks, to touch the top of the hour. When we come back in hour number 2, still got more NBA topics to talk about. We got some quick takes to go through, talk about some college basketball, how Baylor was able to survive West Virginia. They also played Arizona tonight as well. And we got to talk about some of these free agents coming up in the NFL. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We're going to be right back after this break.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Hello?
Hey, what are you doing?
Oh, nothing, girl. Trying to decide where I'm gonna find a birthday gift for my boyfriend.
Oh, that's easy. Go over to the hat stand at 900 East Waco Drive.
What do they carry?
They carry men's urban wear, jerseys, hats. They even do custom embroidery. You could get his name on a hat.
What? Really?
Yeah, you can even get a custom birthday shirt made as well.
I'm on my way. Where did you say it was again?
900 East Waco Drive. Right there, next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time, hour number 2 here on the show today. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today over on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV. Also tuning in with us on Facebook, Centex Sports Network. Want to thank you guys for watching with us. Also on Twitter or X, whichever one you call it. Appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. As always, we are live here 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays right here on Centex Sports Network. Still joined in studio by Wayne Walker. Also calling in, we got PJ Gaither with us as well. As we're here in hour number 2. Just got done wrapping up in hour number 1, talking a little bit of college football. Talked about some of these top quarterbacks going into next year. Who are we looking forward to watching? We got done talking about whatever that was that they called an all-star game on Sunday. Not sure exactly what that was on Sunday. But nonetheless, the all-star game was played this past Sunday. Got a chance to talk about that. And we'll talk some more NBA here in hour number 2. Got some quick takes before we go on to talk about some more of these topics. Few quick takes we got here on the show that we got to talk about. First off, I want to start with shouting out a little bit of women's college basketball because we don't get a lot of time, a lot of chances to be able to talk about women's college basketball. But this is a game that I said on Thursday. My last show last week was on Thursday, and I said this weekend is going to be, or not this weekend, but that night was USC versus UCLA in women's basketball, and I knew it was going to be a show. From the start, just thinking at the looking at the two teams, like I've said multiple times on this show, I probably watched the same amount, if not more, of women's college basketball than I do right now of men's college basketball, just simply because women's college basketball has more stars. In the men's college basketball, a lot of guys, after their first year of doing good, they're going to the league. Women's college basketball, they got to stay. They got to stay all 4 of their years as of right now. So we get to see Juju Watkins for 4 years. We get to see Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame for 4 more years. We get to see Paige Beckers, who on Sunday played a great game against the number 1 team in the nation in South Carolina, number 2 team in the nation in South Carolina, and they blew them out. And Paige Beckers was a huge reason for them doing that. But the game on Thursday, USC versus UCLA, was a great game, like I knew it was going to be. That's why I shouted it out here on the show, because I knew that game was going to be a big one. Juju Watkins, like I said, I say all the time, best player in college basketball, men or women's, has a chance to be the face of the WNBA, I think almost immediately as soon as she gets to the WNBA. Last player I've seen even have this type of impact from a college level, not Caitlin Clark, even though we knew Caitlin Clark ended up being a star, and I'm always going to shout out Caitlin Clark for what she was able to do for women's basketball. But I go back to Maya Moore coming out of UConn, somebody that can go into the league and compete to be the best player. Caitlin Clark is not competing to be the best player in WNBA right now. She can be one of them. Juju Watkins got a chance in her first couple of years to be the best player in the W when she's able to get there. Because right now in college basketball, this almost looks too easy. And I've been saying this for a while. She makes the game look so easy and how she's able to play and how she's able to go out here and dominate. And she was able to do it once again against a team like UCLA. That was a huge game. They're playing the number 1 team in the nation when they played them on Thursday. This is a team with UCLA that had Betts and multiple All-Americans on this roster. Man, they came out there and, like I said, they made it look pretty easy in that game. 71-60 win for USC. And USC was able to dominate. I watched the game. USC was in control of that game from start to finish. There were some moments that it got close in that second quarter, but majority of that game, USC dominated UCLA. And UCLA is the number 1 team in the nation, or was the number 1 team in the nation, for a reason, because they've been playing great all year. Lauren Betts, she's a consensus All-American preseason, and after this season is done, she's going to be an All-American again. She had 18 and 13 for the Bruins, but no one could do anything with Juju Watkins. It was just that simple. It came to a point where in this game, from the tip ball, she made a couple of shots, and she just came out there and said, pretty much, I'm the best player on this floor, and we're going to win this game because I'm out here. USC is a really good team, but UCLA probably a more talented overall team. But Juju Watkins pushed them over that edge. She had 38 points to go along with 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and she's doing it on both sides of the floor. She also had a steal and 8 blocks on the defensive end. This is why she's my favorite player. She plays on both sides of the floor. She's got a great handle. She's got a jump shot. She knocked down 6 threes in the game. I think she started out 3 for 3 from behind the three-point line in this game. Just an overall great game. Wayne, I know you're a guy to watch a lot of college basketball. What do you think seeing at least the stats from Juju and what she was able to do against the number 1 team in the nation?
Just like you said before, I mean, she's that one impact player in college basketball that just kind of like stands out.
Mm-hmm.
She is, I mean, and she stood there last year, and you had Caitlin Clark, and you had
she was a
Angela
freshman,
Reese, and you had all these guys in college at that time, and she still stood out. She still stood out as one of the top, was All-American last year, and like she is the face of college basketball this year. You know, which you do have a lot of parity in college basketball. You have Texas, yes, Connecticut, UCLA, USC.
Notre Dame's got a good squad.
And then you still have to consider South Carolina. So, man, it's a lot of good college women's basketball out there right now, and Juju is at the top of that.
Yeah, she's at the top of that list, and premier player for college basketball, the face of college basketball. She's already got 2 or 3 commercials, seen her on All-State commercials and all this stuff. So they're doing the right thing by promoting her, and I think this is a great way just to promote the women's game, man, because like I said, all the top players, in my opinion, play on the women's side. Between the men and the women's, I know there's guys that stand out on the men's side for sure as well. Obviously, Cooper Flagg, probably going to be the number 1 pick. The 2 guys at Rutgers with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, those guys are great as well. But majority of the star players right now on the women's side of the bracket, man. So I got to shout out to the women's side for sure. Staying with some college basketball, the Baylor Bears, the local team, the hometown team here in Waco, they came out with a really, really good win against West Virginia in the game that I got to watch this past weekend. A game that came all the way down to the wire, man. And I still got faith in this Baylor team. This is one of those teams that's been on and off. Some people have taken them out of the rankings. They've been in and out of the rankings. Some people have taken them out of the potential to be able to go to the playoffs after this as well. They've been kind of back and forth. They're 8-6 in conference, 16-9. First off, they dealt with a lot of injuries, so I'll start with that. They've had people in and out of the lineup all year long, so I'm not just going to put it on Scott Drew like they've been underachieving, and they've been trying to find their way as a team. But mainly, the Big 12 was already the toughest conference in college basketball. But when they added an Arizona in there, and then they added a Houston in there, and these other teams, this just made it even tougher because those are 2 really great programs, and they added that to already what was the best basketball conference when you think about Kansas and West Virginia and Texas Tech and all these, and Texas that was already in there. Man, this just made it even tougher for these guys. But Baylor, they've won 2 out of the last 3 games. They beat UCF. They dropped a game to Houston, but like I said, Houston is one of the toughest teams in the nation. They're one of my sleepers for being able to go all the way to the Final Four this year, just like they were last year before they got upset, I think, in the Sweet 16. But they beat a tough West Virginia team, and they got Arizona tonight, who's number 19 in the country. Really tough team. Caleb Love, one of the top guards in the country, playing at Arizona. Wayne, I'll start with you, and then I'll ask you, PJ, after that. I'll start with you, though. What's your thoughts on this Baylor team and how they played this year and then their game coming up tonight?
Well, like you said, they've dealt with a lot of injuries this year. But one thing about Baylor, they've been in every game that they played.
Yeah, yep.
And you play in probably one of the premier conferences, if not the top conference, the second top conference in the whole NCAA. So, man, you don't get a day off. You know, that's the thing about injuries. If you can't get these guys back in a game or 2, then you're gonna fall because you don't get a game off in the Big 12.
No,
I mean, because you think about it, you got about 6 teams that's ranked, and they predicting like 7 teams at the Big 12 to go to the NCAA tournament. So you got to be one of those top 7 teams, in which you have Kansas State, Arizona State. You have Texas Tech. You have Houston. You have West Virginia. I mean, man, that is just a tough conference, man. To be injured and not have all your guys available to play. It's all about availability, and if you don't have those guys available to play, man, you're going to kind of lag behind. But they've been doing an outstanding job. They've been competitive in each and every game. And man, it just remains to be seen. Maybe they can get on the run, like you said. They've won 2 of the last 3 games, so hopefully they're on the run. And I like to see Baylor in postseason play.
Yeah.
In March Madness. It has excitement for Waco, and it's my second favorite team all the time. So good luck to Baylor. Let's hope they get it done.
Yeah, they played tonight against Arizona, like I said, a super tough team. And right now they're right in the thick of it with these teams in the Big 12. They're tied for 4th place with BYU and Kansas. And Kansas is a team that was the number 1 team in the nation coming in to the start of the season. And we've seen them fall back, not because that this year's Kansas team is a bad team, but you got 3 teams in the Big 12 right now just ranked in the top 10. Houston's at number 5. Iowa State is at number 8. Texas Tech is sitting at number 9 in the country. And then you got the Arizona Wildcats, who are 11-3 in the Big 12. They're ranked number 19 and playing Baylor tonight. So, man, this Big 12 conference is super tough. PJ, what do you think about Baylor and how they've been able to compete in the Big 12 so far in this young basketball season?
And I'm agreeing with what you said. The Big 12, man, is tough. And basketball is tough over there. Even with West Virginia, they're a very good team. And I would say with them and Baylor, they're both 2 teams that's very talented. I feel like everybody can agree on that. But just for different things have affected both teams to be able to consistently show just how good they are. Baylor, like Wayne said, they've been in every game. One thing I would say about this game that I was very impressed with is when you just really go look at the stats, both of these teams are very equal.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like what won Baylor the game was the rebounds. They out-rebounded West Virginia, and then they shot perfect pretty much from the free throw line, which really got them to win in overtime, to be honest. So they right now they on the streak. I really want to tune into this game tonight and see how they play against Arizona, who's a really good team. I think Baylor still is in it. The season's still pretty long. Definitely getting towards the tournament soon. I feel like that they can pretty much they can get their way into it, man. They just got to really stay consistent. That's the biggest thing with them right now, just staying consistent. I know they've been having guys in and out the lineup, but so far right now, these last few games, they've been looking pretty good. I'm excited to see. I always want to see Baylor thrive. Definitely in college football. I mean, college basketball. I feel like they're one of the better programs, I would say, in college basketball, definitely in the last few years. But I really just want to see them do good. But I understand the Big 12, man, it's tough. You got Houston, Iowa State, all these other teams, man. It's going to be pretty tough, though.
Yeah, this is a super tough conference. And Baylor, you said the right word, consistency. They've got to find a way to get consistency, not only as a team, but in my opinion, it's VJ Edgecombe, man. This dude was the number 6 or 7 player in the nation coming out of the Bahamas. And we're used to getting top players in the nation at this point in Baylor that are one-and-dones. We had Keontae George a couple years ago. We just saw him in the Rising Star Challenge. We had Jacoby Walter last year. He was a lottery pick now on the Raptors. VJ Edgecombe, you got the potential to do that. He just hadn't been able to stay consistent. He started off the season slow. Then he started kind of to come along. He's a freak athlete. I think he's got a highlight dunk pretty much every single game. But the game against BYU that they lost in overtime a couple of weeks ago, he had almost 30 points. And I was like, okay, maybe VJ is finally starting to get that and start to get going. But then only 14 points against Kansas. Even though Baylor was able to win, that was a huge win, them getting a win over Kansas. When they lost to Houston, only 14 points. And then this overtime game on Saturday against West Virginia, only 7 points. VJ Edgecombe's got to step up and be the best player on the team. Regardless, I know we got other good players. Jalen Nunn has been playing phenomenal. Omier, I think he's playing out of his mind right now. He's playing like Baylor's best player, honestly. But VJ Edgecombe has got to step up and be that guy if Baylor wants to be able to take that next step. And we know that he can do it. We see the talent. We see the shot-making ability. We see the athleticism. He's just got to be able to put it together and do it consistently. If he's able to do that, this Baylor team, I think, is going to be dangerous moving forward. One more college basketball game this past weekend was the number 1 and number 2 team in the nation playing, and this one sounded like a football game. It was Alabama versus Auburn. Auburn is the number 1 team in the nation right now. They remain number 1 after they were able to defeat Alabama, who was number 2 in the nation. And I just thought it was interesting that the number 1 and 2 team in the nation were 2 football schools. We're talking about Auburn and Alabama. Auburn's been building, and Bruce Pearl is a phenomenal coach, and Auburn's been one of those premier basketball schools. But to see the ascension over the last few years with Alabama and how they've been able to come up as a basketball school really since they had Brandon Miller, who ended up being the number 2 pick in the draft 2 or 3 years ago. Ever since they had him, man, they've been building and building each year, and this Alabama team is tough. I was just watching some of the game and listening to the crowd. I don't know how they fit all those people in that stadium. It's Alabama versus Auburn, so people are going to show up anyway. But you got Alabama versus Auburn, number 1 and number 2 in the nation, playing in basketball. That's probably the loudest college basketball stadium I've heard, or arena I've heard in some years. It was deafening in that stadium, and we're hearing it through the TV. I can't imagine what it was like for the announcers trying to call the game, for the refs trying to communicate with each other, for the coaches trying to communicate with their players in that arena. Wayne, did you get a chance to see any of this game? And then what did you think about the Auburn versus Alabama matchup?
2 football-rich programs, man, that has ascended in basketball over the last 5 years. Both of these programs, like I said, have ascended over the last – just think Alabama was number 1 at some point last year.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn has been number 1 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn has been in the top 10 probably 3 of the last 5 years. So these programs have taken a major steps. And like you said, I watched the game the other night, man, and it was exciting from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I mean, what Bruce Pearl has done at Auburn, man, has been just outstanding recruiting and putting their program on a pedestal to where now they're ahead of the football program.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, sold out. And they were in Alabama the other night.
Mm-hmm.
But it was sold out, man, and just to create so much excitement over SEC basketball the last few years, man, that's just outstanding. But that was an outstanding game. Shouts out to both of those programs for, man, just because basketball always took a back seat to football at Alabama. Basketball always took a back seat to football at Auburn. And for these programs to be both ranked in the top 5 in the nation and playing to a sold-out crowd like that, man, that's magnificent.
Yeah, that was a crazy game to be able to watch, and like you said, to even be considered a top 5 team at those 2 programs, when it seems like all resources not only go to football, but those are 2 premier baseball schools as well with Alabama and Auburn. Basketball might be 3rd or 4th in the rankings at those 2 schools. So seeing them be able to do what they're doing in basketball was really crazy to watch. And I can't even imagine what that atmosphere is going to be like in Auburn on March 8th when they play Alabama again for the last game of the season. It's going to be ridiculous because that stadium was not big enough to hold the amount of people that they had screaming in there at Alabama. And I know it's going to be even worse when they go down there to Auburn to be able to play each other. So I'll be looking forward to that game, and I'm definitely looking forward to some more really good games as we have this break in the NBA action. The NFL just wrapped up with the Super Bowl. All eyes are on college basketball, and right now they're delivering with some premier games since this past weekend. All the games I watched have been great games, from the women's side all the way to the men's side, and we'll get Baylor versus Arizona tonight to try to keep that going. So I'll be excited to watch some more of these games. PJ, I'm going to go to you with this one, man. We talked about this before. Terrence Crawford and the Canelo fight is back on. Terrence Crawford trying to find a way to unify in another weight class, finally getting the fight against Canelo, the fight we've been waiting on really since he beat the brakes off of Errol Spence. I'm still mad about that. Like I said last time on the show, the most wrong I've probably been about any sporting event in my life was the Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight when I had Errol Spence winning that fight. And Terrence Crawford, pretty much beat him into retirement. We haven't seen or heard from Errol Spence since then. And Terrence Crawford, premier fighter. PJ, you sent me a video earlier with him sparring. And, man, Terrence Crawford is a generational talent in my opinion. He's a guy that got overlooked because he doesn't have a lot of the boxing appeal. He's not loud like Floyd. The dude is from Nebraska. Half his fights were in Nebraska. Matter of fact, he's fought in Lincoln more than he's fought in Vegas, which is crazy to say when you're talking about a premier boxer, but he stayed true to staying home. He looks like he hasn't got a haircut in 6 years. He doesn't care about his appearance. So he's not a guy that gets talked about a lot. But in the last few years, people are starting to realize. But, obviously we know we've been boxing fans for years, and we've been keeping up with Terrence Crawford. I want to ask you this. What can this Canelo fight do for Terrence Crawford's legacy? because he's got to fight against Errol Spence now. He's got to win over Sean Porter. He's got to win over these other guys. Fighting a Canelo, I feel like can put him in another stratosphere as far as his legacy because he's already in his 30s. He's coming towards the end of his career. But we can start to view him as one of those top guys to ever put on the gloves after he beats a Canelo and maybe gets another couple of fights under his belt. This guy's got a great resume and is one of the best fighters that I've seen, honestly, since I've been a fan of boxing. What can this Canelo fight do for Bud's legacy?
I think this will cement him as an all-time great. I think he's already an all-time great because of how he beat Earl. Earl isn't an easy fighter to just beat. I know
he's a champion for a reason.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying he's a champion. Earl Spencer's a champion for a reason. Had 3 belts.
That's a 2008 silver medalist at the Olympics that he pretty much dominated. He dominated him from the entire fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a guy who's never lost in a TKO. He never got KO'd.
Nope.
And he was able to put him down, I think, 2 or 3 times?
Yeah, at 3 times.
3 times. Man, it's crazy, man. Terrence Crawford, I've been saying, and I'm going to keep on saying that he's the best switch hitter that we've seen since Marvin Hagler. It's incredible. That's why I sent that video to you earlier, man, on Instagram, because it's amazing to see a guy who can counter from going from southpaw to orthodox and counter in both stances. He can walk you down in both stances. He can also dodge punches or parry punches in both stances. That's incredible to me.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize, but in boxing terms, that's next level. That a lot of greats can't even do that. So I think this will cement him as an all-time great, because Canelo is already an all-time great. I feel like this is just some extra for Canelo. Canelo's already cemented, and I would say the same for Bud Crawford as well. But beating Canelo will take him to another level, just because Canelo has been dominating boxing for pretty much, a decade.
Yeah, since Floyd
more
got out of here, yeah.
At this point, from whenever we seen him fight Floyd, and it was crazy because I remember being a teenager and seeing him fight Floyd, and I even said it after the Floyd fight. I was like, oh, that dude, he's gonna dominate boxing for the next 10 to 12 years.
Canelo been
even
nice,
though
man.
if you go look at that fight, that was like a boxing masterclass for Floyd Mayweather. I'm talking about Canelo couldn't even touch him.
Yeah.
He couldn't touch him the entire fight, but just with the amount of pressure that he was able to, apply on Floyd, you just looking at you're just like, okay, that's just Floyd. That's Floyd on another level. But this kid would be a problem for anybody else in 147 and up. I think they agreed to fight this fight at 168. I'm not really a fan of that. I feel like that.
Yeah, I thought they could have found a better catch weight than 168.
Yeah, maybe 160. I'm not saying go down to 154. I don't think that Canelo will drop that much, but I wanted to see them fight at 160. I feel like that it gives more of an advantage for Canelo to fight at 168 because that guy he's been fighting it that way for a while now. He's fought even heavier than that. He fought at 175 when he went to go fight Dimitri Bivol. But I trust Terrence Crawford at this point. I'm not going against Terrence Crawford. I lost $700. I lost $700, man, betting in the Earl fight. So I'm done betting against Terrence Crawford. That dude is a dog. I feel like he's one of the best technical fighters out here. If you really just watch him, he has great footwork and he has hidden power. I call it hidden power because you're not going to realize just how hard he hits until he hits you with one.
Yeah. No,
because he doesn't look like a guy that carry a lot of power. He doesn't. But this guy was an all-state wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows how to manipulate his weight and everything in the ring.
Yeah, man, Terrence Crawford, I think, like you said, is already one of the best fighters of all time. And he's 41-0 with 31 knockouts. So the resume speaks for itself when you think about that. If he's able to take out a Canelo, who is an all-time great boxer already, like you said, dominated this sport for the last 10 since he lost to Floyd. He's dominated that sport. I think one of those should have been a loss against Triple G, but nonetheless, that was 3 amazing fights that he had against Triple G. And then you think about his record and what he was able to do after that and continue to dominate until Bivol tried to put him out of his misery. But this fight against Terrence Crawford, I think it's going to be a great fight. For one, I don't like you said, I don't like that fighting at 168. That gives Canelo the clear advantage. Buzz never fought over 154. So the fact that he's going to go all the way up to fighting at 168 just lets you know how confident he is in his abilities to be able to fight Canelo. And I know Canelo's up there in age, but Terrence Crawford ain't young. Terrence Crawford's 36. He's at the end of his boxing career as well. So both of these guys are looking for this as a way to cement their legacy. Wayne, I know you're a boxing fan too. What do you think about this fight coming up with Bud Crawford and what this can mean to his legacy against Canelo?
Man, Terrence Crawford, man, it ain't much more you can say about this dude. I still think he got the Earl Spence that had the car wreck. You know,
he did.
No, I'm kidding. He did. But
I think it would have been different.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that in there. But no, man. But respect, nothing but respect for this guy. You know, some guys they call him a fighter. And some guys they call him a boxer. This guy has both of them. I mean, like PJ said, man, this guy right here can fight, man. I wouldn't bet against him. I didn't bet against him with Earl Spence, even though I wanted Earl Spence to win. This guy's it's just something about him. And to me, 41-0 with 31 knockouts, man. The only thing I can say, he's a top 5 fighter of all time. But the only thing is the class and the guys that he fought wasn't better than some of the other guys that you put in that top 5.
Sugar Ray, Marvin Hagler,
you know,
Tommy, all those guys.
It was top heavy then, with great fighters. So these guys were going to bounce off of each other. But, man, that Terrence Crawford, man, if he can go beat Canelo, man, I already got him in my top 5. And it ain't really nothing because, like I say, Canelo, he lost to Mayweather. I don't think I think Terrence Crawford would have beaten Mayweather because of the power. And
man, that would have been a crazy
that would have been crazy. But his power, and he's a fighter, like I say, and a boxer. Floyd Mayweather is a boxer. You know, he's a technician. He's going to stay away from being hit. Defensive type of guy, ain't going to stick and move and get his in. He don't want confrontation. He's not going to go fist to fist with you. But Terrence Crawford, he can do both of them, man. And he has power. And that's what distinguishes him from all the rest. And so him moving up to fight Canelo, if he can beat him, man, I mean, like I say, he's already in my top 5. I mean, it's probably nothing you can do to take me up. And I'm like with you guys, why you got to move all the way up? I mean,
they should have found a better catch.
You can come back down. You can come back down to make it kind of even, and instead of going that with that weight division, man. That just ain't right.
That's an extra 20 pounds almost that he's fighting on. He's never fought at 168. I think they could have found
I'm thinking 162 or something like that, and you can do that, you know, and that way it's kind of even with him coming down and him going up. But I still think he's going to win. I still think he's going to win.
That's the crazy part. I still got him as my favorite, even fighting at 168, man. I think at this point in both of their careers, Terrence is faster than him. I think at this point in both of their careers, I think Terrence is stronger than him. I think his ability to switch in and out of orthodox and southpaw is something that Canelo has never had to fight before. And, man, I can just only imagine a fight between Bud Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We think we've seen the top-notch fight. I think that's going to have to be a 2 or 3 fight. You can't just fight that once. They got to run that back 2 or 3 times if they were able to get a fight like that. Go ahead, PJ.
I'm going to say this, too. Canelo doesn't fight good against southpaw fighters.
And you know Terrence know that.
He doesn't fight.
He can fight them both.
Good with southpaw fighters. If you go back and look at him fighting against southpaw fighters, he don't really fight that good against them. Even way back towards, what was the Cuban fighter that he fought?
Who fought? Bud or that Canelo fought?
It was a Cuban. It was a Cuban. Canelo. Canelo fought a Cuban fighter. I forgot his name. But if you go back and look at any fight that he's had with southpaws, they kind of give him a little bit of problems. And if you really go back and look at Dimitri Bivol with that fight, I feel like that he put out more of a better blueprint than even Floyd did beating Canelo. Because Dimitri comes from the Soviet school of boxing where they have a very, very high output and they utilize a lot of footwork. And these guys, the Soviets, they've been fighting since they were like 5.
Don't nobody want to fight no Soviets, man. Them dudes is just been knocking people out for 20, 30 years.
They wrestle bears and all types of stuff.
They grew up in Pampas fighting, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's snowing 11 months out the year, bro. They ain't got nothing else to do but fight. Ain't no sports. It's just fighting.
Yeah, you go back and look at that fight, though, man. Dimitri put out a lot. He put a big output. He threw way more punches than what Canelo did and had Canelo on the ropes. I think that with Terrence Crawford's style, who is kind of similar, at some point he's gonna start throwing a lot of combos. I think that eventually could, overpower Canelo. But I mean, at the same time, man, Canelo has great defense. Canelo, he will brawl with you, and I've never really seen Canelo necessarily hurt.
I think Triple G beat him. I think
that first fight Triple G won. They called it a draw. That first fight Triple G won.
He won.
I'll never move off of that stance.
And that's the only thing I don't like about boxing is the judging, man.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah,
I mean,
they got to find a better system than that.
They have to.
If a guy just don't like somebody, then you just lost. I mean, it's that simple. And we've seen it multiple. I mean, we watched it with Lomachenko and who'd he fight? Haney?
Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Man, come on. Come on. Hey, we know Haney didn't win that fight. But
come on,
but they like Haney and they wanted him to be the next face of boxing until he got put out his misery last year.
There's just so much corruption in boxing.
Yeah,
man,
I can't deal with it. They got to get it. I say it every time. And they need to. Dana White needs to leave UFC and go do boxing. That's the only way they get it right. They need a league like UFC. That's what makes the UFC so premier. What do you say?
Yeah,
UFC better right now.
It's man because Dana White is gonna make you fight. All right, you just won 6 fights in a row, and you just won 8 fights in a row. Y'all next fight is against each other. Ain't no let's find our agents and see if we can work out a deal and find. No, y'all fighting in a month. Y'all ain't fighting. We're not waiting a year. Y'all are fighting in 60 days. Find a way to do it. Find a way to train. You'll be in Vegas in 60 days.
Ain't no 3 years.
Nah, man, these dudes waiting. We've been waiting on Crawford and Canelo since he beat Spence in 22 or 21.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't like all that waiting around and stuff. Boxing needs a league, but at this point, it's too far corrupt. These promoters have more power than even the boxers themselves. Al Heyman and all these guys got more power than Bud Crawford and Canelo and all these guys put together, and it shouldn't be like that because then they're going to dictate all the terms. It should be a league like the UFC where they make each other fight each other, and then we'll see a Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney. We'll see a Gervonta Davis versus Lomachenko. We'll see a Bud Crawford and Errol Spence way before when it was supposed to happen 3-4 years ago. That fight was supposed to happen in 2018.
It's sad at this point. I mean, because this weekend we got Dimitri Bivol versus Beterbiev, the second fight, and I don't even really see any publicity about that fight, or even with Keyshawn Davis fighting this past weekend for Top Rank. There's no publicity no more when it comes to boxing, so they got to make some changes.
Tank fighting another random. Like, we can't get Tank fighting nobody for real. We want to see Tank and Devin Haney. They argue with each other every day on Instagram. Why don't y'all just fight? I mean, the sport is about fighting. You think if you don't like somebody that you would just be like, well, let's just fight. Well, you get paid to fight.
Let's settle it. Yeah. You got more fights in the ghetto than you had, I mean, if you got guys that's beefing and they talking to man, let's just
Well, you couldn't run from nobody that long in Parkside for as long as these dudes been running from each other.
I mean, brothers come and knock on your door then, come on, let's do this.
Yeah.
You don't have no choice.
Yeah,
but now they got guys, man, you got to wait 3 and 4 years, and my promoter got to get with your promoter, and this, that, and other. Man, let's just put some money on the line. The winner get this, the loser get this, and that's what it is. And you take the belt with you.
Yep.
You come and take what's mine.
Exactly.
And we don't have that in boxing.
No, not even a little bit. And that's what I envy so much about the 80s and the 90s, because we got to see Hagler versus Hearns. We got to see Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Like, we got to see the best fight the best. Even though Floyd didn't have the amount of great fighters that the 80s and early 90s had, he fought whoever was the top guy fighting in welterweight. When it was De La Hoya, he fought De La Hoya. When he was Miguel Cotto, he fought Miguel Cotto. When it was Sugar Shane Mosley,
he going to get his money, though.
Oh, yeah, he ain't turning down no bread.
Yeah.
I don't think these guys like money that much. They can't, because you can't tell me that Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson or versus Devin Haney is not $100 million fight. It's clearly a $100 million fight, but yet we can't get him to fight nobody. You can't tell me that Terrence Crawford versus Canelo is not a $100 million fight, and it's taking these guys this long to really, when they both just ran out of fights. Canelo didn't want to fight Bivol again because he didn't want to lose again, and nobody else wanted to fight Canelo. Nobody has wanted to fight Terrence Crawford since he did what he did to Earl Spence. They've been running his promoter's been putting out contracts for 4 years straight. I'm not going to be your next victim. You've been sitting around waiting.
he probably hurt all our feelings when he beat Earl Spence.
Oh, man, come on. That was my favorite fighter, man.
I had a party and everything, like a boxing party and everything. You know, it was all on Earl Spence, man, and he beat him down, man. It wasn't even close, man.
That was bad.
I was emotional after that fight. I ain't gonna lie.
You couldn't even argue. You couldn't even say, no, they threw that one. It wasn't no corruption in that one.
Not in the slightest. From the moment they said ding in round one to the end of it, it was a complete and total beatdown.
You just wanted him to stop at that point. Don't beat him too bad.
I was waiting on the trainer to throw the white in, man. I was like, man, this dude might have to throw the white flag in there. But are they fighting for the belts or is this exhibition, PJ?
I think because I don't think Canelo doesn't have any belts.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think he lost his belt to Bevo.
Yeah,
and it's too big of a catch weight, I think, for them to fight for a belt.
For Terrence.
I think it's too big of a weight jump for them to fight for a belt. So it's an exhibition, but nonetheless, we're still gonna get a really good fight. I can't wait to be able to watch it. I'm like I said, hopefully this brings something back to boxing that we've been missing for way too many years, because it takes just too long for guys to even get in the ring and fight each other right now.
We need the guys at 135, specifically Shakur Stevenson.
That's the best class right now, but they won't fight each other.
Yeah, these guys got to stop going back and forth on social media and just set up the fights, man. Because I ain't going to lie, they're the reason why boxing right now is kind of dying off.
It is.
There's really no big dogs at 147 besides Boots. And, I mean, the higher weight classes is not really popping either. Heavyweight is dead. Middleweight is okay. And super middleweight is okay as well. The 135 class is the class.
That's the best class.
These dudes don't want to fight. I don't understand.
Like you said, they just want to sit and talk on Instagram and stop sharing girlfriends. I feel like all of them got the same girlfriend. Like, bro, how many women is it in America? Y'all all got the same girlfriend. Y'all keep switching it out. Then y'all get mad about it and start typing on Twitter and start typing on Instagram and making a story about somebody. Bro, just
you see what happened with Devin.
Yeah, bro, like, come on, bro. You going outside like Devin, you lose a fight and you lose your girl in the same year. This is crazy work. Just go and fight, bro. This is the only sport that you get to just fight. Yeah. Shout out to I haven't watched no hockey and I don't know how long. I watched some of that USA versus Canada this weekend because they got it popping in the first 5 minutes of the game. They didn't even let the game start. The Canadians were booing when the national anthem was going on. Yeah. Man, they got to it. As soon as they said ding, they dropped gloves and started boxing. They didn't care about no hockey. You're not finna come in here with no disrespect. I need boxing to have that same energy. Like you just said, PJ, 135 is the best division. You got Devin Haney. You got Shakur Stevenson. You got Tank Davis. You got Lomachenko. You got Teofimo. You got all these guys that are premier boxers, and none of them have fought each other. That don't even make sense. How about none of y'all? You think maybe a couple of guys avoid somebody, but none of y'all have fought each other? Like, come on, they got to get this together, man.
They running from Loma. They running from.
Yeah, they don't want to. Hey, man, these Ukrainians and these Soviets, ain't nobody trying to fight these guys. They only worried about one thing. Lomachenko stopped in the middle of preparing to fight to go fight in the war. Ain't nobody trying to fight that guy, man. This dude just went and fought for his country with assault rifles, and they came back and was like, all right, I'm cool to box now. Ain't nobody trying to fight that guy, man. They need to leave Lomachenko alone. I want to switch over to some football. We got about 20 minutes here left on the show. Switch over to some football and talk a little bit about the NFL. Travis Hunter right now is entering the combine as a cornerback instead of entering as a receiver. And, PJ, we talked about it a little bit last week. I want to get Wayne's opinion on this because he went to the league as a receiver, so he's got a great perspective on this. Travis Hunter deciding to switch over the corner. Not switch over the corner, but he's entering the draft or in the combine as a DB. Now, I've said I felt like his best work is at corner because I feel like he can take away an entire side of the field. I think he's got the potential to be a top corner, if not the top corner in the league. At receiver, he's dynamic. I think the best part about him as receiver is his hands. The catches that he's able to make and the way he can track the ball is ridiculous. But I think he can be one of the top corners, if not the top corner in the NFL. And I think other people see that as well. So he's entering as a DB. What is your thoughts on Travis entering the combine as a DB?
Man, hey, I think he's absolutely doing the right thing, man. I mean, your value is at a corner. Mm-hmm. This is what you got recruited to do in college. He was the top recruit in the nation as a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
So you play on that. I mean, that's your position. You just wanted to play both sides of the ball, which you did at a high level, but you're going to make your biggest impact on a defense, and you're going to get paid more on that defensive end of the ball. So I think he's absolutely doing the right thing. And like you say, you can go. It's a lot of good pass catchers in the league.
Yeah,
a lot of good pass catchers. It's a lot of guys that can go out there and go get it and can run routes. But it's less risk as a defensive back, and you can make the biggest impact on defense if you're Travis Hunter. So
yeah, I think that's where his calling card is going to be. Like you said, I mean, it's just so many special guys at receiver, and it's just not that many special guys at DB. Not to the point you say, hey, this can be our best player on the field. This can be our franchise player. Travis Hunter can do that from the defensive position, similar to a Pat Surtain and how he's doing it out there in Denver right now, similar to Sauce Gardner, his first couple years in the league, making an all-pro team. Man, it's hard to find guys like that. Jalen Ramsey, when he first got into the league, what he was able to do. Man, it's tough to do that. We've seen guys come in at receiver and have the immediate impact, especially in the last few years. All the most dominant players have all come out of LSU in the last, 4 or 5 years with Chase and Jettas and now Brian Thomas in Jacksonville and Neighbors in New York. Man, at the defensive back position, it's special what Travis Hunter is going to be able to do. And if he can translate what you've seen him already do, those ball skills that he uses on offense to defense, man, the sky's the limit for this guy.
And the deal is, this is your option. Your option is to get hit or to hit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I have both of those skill sets, I want to do the hitting and the intercepting instead of the taking the hit across the middle and doing all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's absolutely doing the right thing. That's where his value is going to come. And I think he's going to be, like you say, he's going to make a difference. He's going to make a difference on defense, and I look forward to seeing him play.
Yep, the draft coming up in a little bit over a month, about a month and a half now away from the draft, which is crazy to say, man. And seeing these guys go, I think Travis Hunter still has the chance to be a top 3 pick, if not the number 1 pick, because Tennessee doesn't know which way they want to go. They've gone back and forth on saying they want quarterback. Now they're saying this quarterback class isn't special. Abdul Carter's getting looks now, number 1, which isn't a bad move because Abdul Carter showed in that playoff run he is a monster, and he's going to be a special, special talent. But this is a class that, even though I think it is down on quarterbacks as far as quarterbacks coming out this year, I like Cam and I like Shador, and after that the list kind of dwindles. Man, the running back position is super heavy. The pass rusher this year coming out is super heavy. I think there's at least 10 good linemen coming out this year, including guys from little schools like the dude from Marshall who dominated in the Senior Bowl and dominated at Marshall all year long. Like I said, you got the Scorton kid coming out of Texas A&M. You got both the D tackles coming out of Michigan. I mean, it's pass rusher is heavy this year, and Abdul Carter's at the top of that list, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like that go early on in the rounds too. Staying with some NFL, want to talk about some of these top free agents coming out this year, either free agents or guys that are going to be potentially traded, because we've seen multiple guys either come out and ask for a trade or the team said they're going to trade you. I think we talked about it last week on here with this first guy I'm going to name, and that's Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel kind of just got ahead of the curve and tried to be like, I'm asking for a trade when we all know San Francisco's about to trade you. Like, when they signed Brandon Ayuk, your clock started ticking from that point on. Deebo Samuel came out and said he's requested a trade, and I still think Deebo's got a lot left in the tank. He's got to get back to his playing weight. I think last year in the middle of the season he was like 20-something pounds over his normal playing weight, and I think that had a lot to do with his lack of explosion out there on the field. But Deebo, I still think can be – you put him in a scenario with a good quarterback, as great as Deebo's been and as good as the 49ers have been, he's never been in a situation where he just had a great quarterback. He had Jimmy Garoppolo and he had Brock Purdy. He's never had guys throwing him open in situations like that. I think if he can get back and working in the slot and kind of being that in-between slot receiver, tight end type of guy, the running back thing was cool and what he was able to do in San Francisco, but I'm ready to see him more as a pass catcher. Just get this guy the ball in open field. That's what he's been doing since he was at South Carolina. You give him the ball in open field, he's going to make people miss, and he can make plays. I'm interested to see where he can go, man. There's a few teams I feel like that could use the services of Deebo Samuel. But, PJ, I'll start with you. What is the type of team that you think Deebo Samuel needs to go to, and how much do you think he still got left in the tank?
I think Deebo still got a lot in the tank. He's still pretty young. He got to go with a team that's good with spacing. He has to get the ball in space, and you kind of got to let him do what he do. Yards after catch. He's not a guy that's going to wire you with his routes. He's never been that guy, even dating back to whenever he was at South Carolina. He's just a guy that you got to give him the ball though in his hands, and he can show you what he can do. So I think he needs to go somewhere that's not really just dependent on somebody that's going to know the whole route tree, or that's going to be able to run the whole route tree perfectly. He's not a Jettas. He's not a Jamar Chase. He's Deebo. You know what I mean? He's pretty much a running back that plays receiver. So I agree with you. I feel like he should get back into the slot. Focus more on the slot, because he's a pure slot receiver. He's a guy that's going to run, quick slants, screens. You can run screens with this guy. You can run jet screens with the guy. The guy, you just got to get the ball in his hands. So I feel like he needs to go somewhere that's going to be able to have him in space, and like I said, just let him do what he do. Things he's been doing pretty much his whole entire career.
Yeah, man, get this guy back out in open space so he can be effective with the ball. I think 49ers, they used him the right way, but then they started trying to get too tricky. Like, it was cool when he did a couple times out the backfield, but when he starts getting like 13 carries out the backfield, it's like, okay, like what are we doing, y'all? It's other ways to get this guy the ball. It's not running power with Deebo Samuel. Let's get this guy on some drag routes and let him get some open space. Let's get this guy, like you said, on the quick slant in some open space, man. And a team I would like to see him go to is a team like Buffalo, because that's how they already use Khalil Shakir right now. He's just a little guy. Give Deebo those same touches that Khalil Shakir got this year, and I think Deebo would have a phenomenal year. Wayne, where's somewhere you could see a guy like Deebo ending up if the 49ers do decide to trade him, which I think they are?
Well, the thing about Deebo, the thing that made him successful is the same thing that keeps him from not playing, and he stays injured a lot of times. He's been injured the last couple of years.
Yep.
But just like you and PJ said, man, you have to get this guy some space. You have to be creative in how you get him the ball. Maybe in the backfield, maybe in the slot. He's multifaceted, so you can use him in a lot of things that you do. But the thing about Deebo is he's gonna have to stay healthy.
Yeah.
You can't justify paying a guy that type of money and him missing 8 games a year, because I think the last 2 years he's only played about 14, 15 games.
Yeah.
And that's out of 16-game season. So, but he still has value because he's been successful. He has to go to a team that he can be creative. I can see him with a team like Arizona, like you say, Buffalo. I can see him with a team like Miami that kind of uses those guys. But you have to be creative, and it has to be a need there. I can see him with a Kansas City. But
definitely can see him with Kansas City.
It's got to be a team that can be creative in how they use him. But he definitely has value. So he's just gonna have to figure out which one of those teams that can use his skill set the best.
Yeah, I agree. If he gets on the team, and I wanted to say Kansas City, I just didn't want to throw them in the mix. But man, that would just think about how they use their receivers out there and how much spacing they create with the offense they run, and put a guy like Deebo in there. I mean, that would just be ridiculous to see him that. But Deebo probably on the move. Came out and asked for a trade, but like I said, I think San Francisco was already planning on trading him anyway. So hopefully he'll get a new change of scenery. Another guy that came out and asked for a trade publicly, Myles Garrett, who was by far the best player to be available, quote unquote. Barry out there, the GM for Cleveland, said we're not moving off this guy, but we already know if a guy said he's not going to play, man, he's not going to play, and you might as well go ahead and get off this guy while you can, because you're in a rebuild anyway. Don't torture the dude and make him stay there in Cleveland. Already, that's bad enough. You got to live in Cleveland. But then you got to win 3 or 4 games while living in Cleveland. Nobody wants to do that. Myles Garrett is in his prime. He's one of the best players in the NFL. When he's playing at his peak, he's the best defensive player in football. It's just that simple. He's one of those guys that, similar to Aaron Donald when he was at his peak, every year he can win Defensive Player of the Year. It's just, do you want to give it to him or not? He's just as good in the run game as he is in the passing game as well. So, Wayne, I'll go right back to you. Where would you like to see a guys like Myles Garrett go to that can help any team?
The deal is Cleveland. Like you said, they're in a rebuild. Why don't you, while you're in this rebuild, start acquiring picks? Yep. You can get you 2 number 1 picks in a 3 for a guy like Myles Garrett. So then you start to get all these assets. But a team like Detroit, a team like Washington, I even heard some stuff about Dallas even being one of those teams that he lives in. He's from Arlington. Yeah, he lives there. He works out there. He even works out at the Star. I kind of heard them say that today. And so you think about that, but you let a guy that's in his prime go and have it. He's giving you everything he can. He's given everything he could give to this organization. Sure. He's been a class act, but man, you put him in one of those situations where he can go to even Denver. I was hearing or Kansas City. Yeah. Anybody can use a Myles Garrett. I don't know what we're talking about. Anybody in the league. Yeah.
You can pick any team. Yeah.
Anybody can use Myles Garrett, but man, they need to just find a place for him to go and just start to acquire them some assets that can help them in the future, because they're not in a win now situation. No. They're not going to win for the next 3 years. Deshaun Watson made that possible with the stupid moves that they made. Yeah. So now you try to make it right. Yeah. So you try to make it right, and you let this guy go and walk and try to have some success somewhere else.
Yeah, you definitely got to let him go ahead and move on. And like you said, a rebuild. How many first-round picks can you ask for? That's how much you can get for Myles Garrett. We talking about a premier player in the league, a top 10 player in the NFL at any position every single year in and year out. And the team, like I said, you mentioned both of them that I would like to see on. One of them is Detroit, just because you still have Aiden Hutchinson on that rookie contract, and you got to take advantage of that while you still got him on that rookie contract, because you're going to have to back up the Brinks truck in a couple of years when he comes up with his contract. You pair them 2 guys together, Hutchinson and Garrett, man, I don't care who y'all got a DB that y'all been getting killed at, because they going to look like Pro Bowlers with them 2 guys rushing the whole time. And the other one is if he finds a way to get to the Washington Commanders. Man, PJ, I'm not going to talk about it too much because you're a Cowboys fan, but man, I don't see how anybody can have any hope in that division after that. If once you've seen what Philadelphia has been able to do, and if a guy like Myles Garrett got to go out there at Washington to play with Dan Quinn, who had Micah Parsons looking like the next LT, and who had Vic Beasley, a guy that a lot of people forgot about. Man, that dude was an all-pro when he was the head coach in Atlanta, and nobody had found a way to get production out of Vic Beasley. That dude was a 12, 13 sack guy for a couple years out there with Dan Quinn. So seeing Myles Garrett going out there with Dan Quinn, that would just be scary. Who's the team that you would like to see Myles Garrett go to, PJ?
It's crazy that you say that. I would actually like to see him with Washington. Just as a fan of the guy, but not as a fan of the Cowboys. Yeah, for sure. If Washington able to get him, man, it's gonna be ugly for us. So, I would like for him to come back to Dallas. I don't think we do it, but I would like to see him come back to Dallas or even go down to Houston.
I think both of us are out of money, man. I don't think we can pay Garrett, and I don't think the Cowboys can pay Garrett. If they pay Garrett, they're going to do that, going to restructure, which he ain't doing.
Mm-hmm. Nah, he's not doing that at all.
Yeah, so I would like to see him. I mean, the Dallas one is interesting because he's from there. We almost played against him when I was in high school. He was at Arlington Martin. So, I mean, he's a guy that's from that area, so that would be cool to see him go to. But really, like Wayne said, he can help any team. I just want to see him out of Cleveland and on a team that's got a chance to do something, because we haven't got to see much of that Myles Garrett impact in the playoffs. They had that one run a couple years ago with Joe Flacco when the Texans beat the brakes off of him, but we haven't got to see Myles Garrett really turn up and get to that extra gear when he gets to the playoffs. Last one I want to ask about is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the Jets, I think, came out and announced today that they are also backing up that decision to move and part ways. They haven't publicly came out and said it yet. I think he said it, Aaron Rodgers said it, and a couple other guys, but the Jets organization publicly came out and said they're going to part ways with Aaron Rodgers. We don't know how that's going to be, if that's going to be a buyout, if that's going to be a trade. I'm not sure, but like I said, Aaron Rodgers still got something left in the tank. Is he that needle mover that he was in Green Bay all those years? No. But I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers can't play football, and this guy's like Kirk Cousins out there still playing football. Like, I'm not going to say that. So he still can play football, can help a team. Wayne, who's somebody you think Aaron Rodgers can go to and help out?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, man. The thing with Aaron Rodgers is he brings in a lot of
it's all the off the field stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, you when you have a young football team, you don't want that around your team.
Yeah.
But man, he's gonna have to go somewhere where they'll be accepting of that. Man, I think he can go, and Miami might be a fit. You know, you go with Tyreek, you can throw the ball, they can protect. Tua's not staying healthy. The Rams, if they don't sign Matthew Stafford, he's a guy that can go there. But I can't see him going anywhere else, man. I mean, all these other teams are young, and they got Tennessee maybe because they got Will Levis. If they don't draft anyone, you know, you can see them bringing someone in. Maybe Indianapolis, but man, you just don't want all of that fanfare and all that the sideshow, like you say, you know, that comes with him. So that's the only thing you get with Aaron Rodgers. But can he play? Yeah, I think he still can play. I still think he has something in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough. I'm with you. It's only a couple teams. The only team I could really see him going to, honestly, is either Vegas or Tennessee Titans, because Tennessee might not decide. Maybe they want to give Will Levis a couple more years, or they just want to push back and wait on this draft because there's other teams that could use him, like a New Orleans or a New York. But why would Aaron Rodgers want to go to New Orleans or New York? You're going to be bad. Same with Indianapolis. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers puts them over that edge. I think Tennessee actually has a decent roster. I think their quarterback play was so bad last year, and their offensive line play was so bad last year. That's what made them have the number one pick. Same with Vegas. Vegas doesn't really have that many people, but maybe they just throw him some money because it's Vegas. Those are the only teams I can see him even going to. PJ, any teams you can see Aaron Rodgers going to in this year's offseason?
I'm with Wayne. I really don't see him just being able to go to too many teams. Like, you don't want a guy. He brings a lot of baggage. He brings a lot of just positive and negative press on to the team. And when a lot of these teams are young at this point, I'm really on the bandwagon of him just going ahead and retiring.
I'm with you, PJ.
Yeah. It ain't because he can't play anymore. It's just he brings so much baggage that even if the team is good, they're not going to be able to reach their full potential because of that.
No, I agree, man. I mean, because at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Do we see Aaron Rodgers going to a team and making them win the Super Bowl? No.
Not at all.
Okay, so what are we playing for then, Aaron? You got plenty of money, bro. You got all the money in the world. You done made multiple contracts. You got 4 MVPs. You're not going to win another MVP. You're not going to win another ring. So, I mean, I'm not going to be mad if he decides to go out there and retire. And then I don't like the guys that fake the retirement and put it in people's face 3-4 times. Man, go on there and retire. You're going to keep saying it every year.
And he's already a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. He's first ballot.
He's got a ring. He's playing for nothing.
Yeah, you already first ballot Hall of Famer. You got 4 MVPs, bro. 4 of them.
Unless you're playing for the love of the game. If you still have that desire to play for the love of the game, you stay in the game and you try to find somewhere and you try to leave all that off the field stuff and all that controversy that you bring with you. Leave it somewhere else.
Yeah, man.
But retire.
Yeah.
I'm with TJ. Retire.
At the end of the day, it comes back to just going there and retire. It's too much extra stuff, man. Nobody wants to hear about your interviews on Pat McAfee when you're not winning. Nobody wants to hear about your weird dark room retreat things where you sit in a dark room for 24 hours or whatever. Hey, bro, are you gonna win a Super Bowl? Or are you gonna win an MVP? You've made that standard, so that's what it is at this point. Since you're not, we don't care. And like I said a second ago, you keep pump faking the retirement, bro. Just go and retire. You go keep pump faking it every year. Oh, if y'all do this, I'm gonna retire. If you do this, bro, retire. That's fine. We're good. Yeah. We're good now. We've seen enough. The
NFL is gonna be good without you.
Yeah, I mean, I promise it was good without you this year because you were there, but you weren't doing anything but making headlines outside of it. So shout out to Aaron Glenn for the Jets, man, because you got to come in and make a decision to start off your tenure as head coach. And he came in and said, I'm making a decision, and that's to get Aaron Rodgers up out of here. Are we going to find a better quarterback than Rodgers next year? Probably not. But we ain't going to have all this extra stuff running around while I'm trying to coach my team and keep my job as the head coach of the New York Jets. Folks, we're out of time here today on the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today. We'll be back tomorrow. We still got plenty to talk about. We'll have Rocky on here tomorrow talk some more about the NBA, talk some more NBA All-Star as well. So make sure you guys getting ready to tune in for that. Want to thank PJ for coming on here with us today. Also want to thank Wayne for jumping on here with us today as well. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We will see you guys then. Everybody have a great evening.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your